there, fellow hungry travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're in Salzburg, Austria. And today we're going to talk about are some of the traditional foods you should have when you come here to Salzburg. And I got to start off with a sweet treat that you find all over Europe, but one of those things that's truly Salzburger, and that is the Mozartkugeln, or the Mozart balls. You'll see them around, those little chocolate balls. Well, inside, it's got pistachio, it's got marzipan, it's got nougat, and then the chocolate on the outside. It is something you have to have when you're here. And there's tons of different brands, but I do recommend if you are here, go to the first, like one of the conditores, one of the things, and get the first Mozartkugeln, because those are the first ones that did. That's the one that actually invented it. You can find other ones around town. Honestly, I like Mirabelle to buy big bunches of it and take to my friends because they're the best of the cheaper versions, but they're good. So that's one thing. But you got to have the Mozartkugeln when you're here. That's a must. Another must you have to have when you are here, and this is one thing that is a dessert, and they don't sell it at every single restaurant. You got to find a place that actually sells it, and that is the Salzburger Nockerl. And I know I'm butchering how it's pronounced, and I even speak German, but what it is, it's a vanilla souffle, or think of like a really soft vanilla meringue, right? It's fantastic. It's got this raspberry sauce underneath. Raspberry sauce is always underneath, just FYI. It is so wonderful. And when you do order it, know that it does take some time for it to be made. And so there is that. And I got to tell you, when it comes out, you got to eat it right away. Otherwise, it kind of goes down. Actually, I have a don't for my don'ts of Salzburg about that. I'll put that in here to show you. One thing I had to warn you, don't eat your Salzburger Nockerl slow because it deflates. It's a meringue, so it's just going to go plop down. So they'll bring it out. It takes about 20 minutes to make. It'll come out all big, so get it right away and eat it fast, because otherwise it goes so. But it still is fantastic. And that is a fantastic dessert, and it is definitely for more than one person. It is huge when you get it. Another thing you need to have when you're here is Bosna. And Bosna, it's the local hot dog when you come here. And what it is, it's 2 hot dogs that are in there, and then it's got chopped up onions, parsley, ketchup, mustard, and the key ingredient, the secret sauce, not really sauce, the secret powder is curry powder. They put that in there and you have that. Honestly, it's pretty good. It sounds weird, but it's really good. And I'm sure I'm showing you like the nice pictures you might see on the signs, but what it really actually kind of comes out sometimes is like a big mess. So make sure you grab a few napkins when you get a Bosna, but it is worth it. And if you don't want to get a big one, you can get a kleine, which is only 1 hot dog or 1 sausage in it. And then the normal one has 2. Now, when you're in Salzburg, this is a very much a traditional Austrian food kind of place. So you can have a lot of the Austrian treats when you're here. And one thing you want to have is Knödel. And there's lots of different Knödel when you're here. Oh, you don't know what Knödel is? Knödel are dumplings. And there's so many different kind of dumplings you can have when you're here. Sometimes it'll be in your soup, maybe a liver dumpling or a bacon dumpling or a bread dumpling. I mean, there's different dumplings that can be in all kinds of stuff. Maybe it's a side dish. Maybe you have the Spinat Knödel, the spinach dumpling, as a main meal. But you can have that. So Knödel, the dumplings that pops up, you want to have that when you're here. And I know if you're thinking about like Austrian food and German food, sometimes you think about Schnitzel. And Schnitzel is the German noodles that you have here. And they have a very special noodle here. You get Spätzle, Käsespätzle, cheese Spätzle, but you want to get Knasdolchen. And Knasdolchen is like it's Spätzle with cheese and caramelized onions in it. Oh yeah, you definitely want to have that when you're here. Another traditional thing you'll see all over Austria, but they tend to like it here quite a bit, is Tafelspitz. And Tafelspitz is just basically boiled beef. That would be the directish best way to explain it to you. I will say it is what you'd expect from boiled beef. That's why I like the Beilage that go along with it. The side dishes, the fried potatoes that are there, the cream spinach. Oh my gosh, the stuff that comes with it is actually better than the Tafelspitz. But it's one of those things you really need to have. It's very much a traditional Salzburg Austrian thing. Now, more traditional things you'd see in Austria, but you should have when you're here, because I know for a lot of people, this might be the only town they go to in all of Austria, and that is Wiener Schnitzel, or just Schnitzel in general. But Wiener Schnitzel means Vienna Schnitzel. You're like, Mark, but that's from we're in Salzburg. Why are you talking about a Vienna thing? Schnitzel is such a part of Austria that even if you have it here, you'll be fine. Now remember, Wiener Schnitzel is made with veal. You might get other kinds of Schnitzel though, maybe chicken Schnitzel or Putin, which is Turkish Schnitzel, or just plain pork Schnitzel. You can have that too. So there are many versions, but that's one of those things. And I will tell you, when you're here, the Schnitzel is huge. So if you're not super hungry, I might not get that. Now, another traditional Austrian dish you'll probably have here is Bachendel, which is, they'll call it Austrian fried chicken. And basically what I like to think about is, don't think Kentucky fried chicken, think old school shake and bake, but fried chicken. Actually is pretty good. Now, another thing you don't really think of when you think of coming to Austria is actually fish. They actually have some really good fish when you are here. I do recommend the trout when you come here, though I'll tell you, don't forget, trout does have quite a few bones, so if you're going to give it to your kids, make sure you're looking out, and even if you're an adult, make sure you're looking out for those. Now, another traditional Austrian dish, but is actually really good here in Salzburg, are the Strudels. And of course, you want Apfelstrudel, which is the apple strudel, which is fantastic, but also you got Topfenstrudel, which is actually, think of a strudel made with cream cheese inside, like cheesecakey cheese, like inside it. It's so good. You can have that when you're here. Pretzels are fantastic here as well. And when you usually come to Austria, you think of wine because Austrian wines are famous and they're really good. But here in Salzburg, this is beer country and you want to get some beer when you're here. Yes, the biggest brand you probably heard of from here in Salzburg is, or at least from around the Salzburg area, is probably Stiegl. And I've gone to their tour before. It's a fun time. You can do that. But I think the most important beer experience you have when you are here in Salzburg is actually going to the Augustinerbräu, like in Müllen, like kind of follow the river down. And there's a big beer garden there you can go to in the summer. It's fantastic. Winter? No, you're not going to go there. But in the summer, go into that beer garden. Like we used to sit out and play cards with our friends and my parents and just knocking back the big beers. They have the pretzels there. You can get food there. Or what's cool is you can bring your own food to save a little money. Can't bring your own beer, but you can bring your own food. And the thing is, when you're here in Salzburg, there's also, just like if you're in Vienna where they have the Kaffee and Kuchen culture, the coffee and cake culture, they have that here as well. So go in to get a Schnitzel, a piece of cake when you are here, with a Sachertorte, which is not originally from Salzburg, but they do a really good job when you're here. Going on, having that coffee and having the cake when you are here, you can't go wrong with that. If you're going to be here, the thing is, there's so much good food and drink here in Salzburg. You won't have a problem eating when you are here or finding good food because a lot of great restaurants. But I got to tell you, if you're going to be here, you got to make reservations at night to make sure you have a place to eat. And I'm not just talking during high season, during the Christmas markets or during the summer tourist season or the Salzburger Festival. No, you need to make sure you're making reservations every night you're here just to make sure, because there's a lot of smaller restaurants and so therefore there's less space. So if you have a bigger group or a family or a couple families together, making reservations is key. Another thing I think is important to remember, you do tip when you are here in Austria, so remember that. But I think the most important thing about Salzburg to know when you're going out to eat is Salzburg is kind of infamous for having some of the rudest waiters in Austria. I think it's because there are just so many tourists that are here, they just kind of like run them over. So that can be a bit frustrating. I mean, I've had some wonderful, honestly, wonderful service here in Salzburg as well. But I've also had some really horrible Salzburg. Like if you watch my Love and Hates of Salzburg, I put in hating the Salzburger like service and it was because it was such a bad experience I had here one visit, actually multiple visits, that I had to put it in. But do be kind of ready for that. I mean, they're professional, but just don't expect to be super friendly. And the thing is, there's tons of fantastic food to have when you're here. And if you don't want to have traditional Austrian or Salzburg food, you can get a lot of international food when you're here as well. So do enjoy your time here. My McDonald's friends, yes, there's a McDonald's. It even has the golden arches on it as well. So I hope you have a great time and guten appetit when you're here in Salzburg.